Are we ready?
Yeah, turn that shit off, Regan.
Recording as quick as
The people in the back, yeah.
God, right, I'm going to try and wait for it to go light and then...
Fucking hell. You're miserable, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm not in a good mood now.
Hello, and welcome to the podcast.
Well, that's just going right.
Right.
Do you know what that'll get you happy? Disagree with our choice.
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah, right, here we go. Hello and welcome back to the From the Terrace podcast. We were just talking about how I've got to get upbeat now because I'm in an absolutely terrible mood. We were meant to be joined by Sean King for this edition, but we recorded earlier and couldn't be bothered to get him to wait for it, basically.
That's commitment from the Terrace podcast.
You've got a friend in me.
Yeah, it's been quite a rushed a preparation to record. I've been scrambling my team together, which is an insight into what we'll be doing today. We did an overrated 11. Was it 2 weeks ago we did the overrated 11?
Yeah. Went down a treat.
That ruffled a couple of the feathers, didn't it, Billiam?
Yeah, but we enjoyed that. Like, we love it.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Hashtag jump from the terrace.
Keep the abuse
Hashtag
coming, please. We actually prefer it to praise.
I love abuse. That's good.
Anyway, yeah, this week we are doing the underrated 11. We'll do it in the same format, I think, as we did the last time, where we just go through all of our options, we say them out loud, and then we pick one for each position. So we'll get straight into goalkeeper then. Obviously, this is for the Premier League of players who are in it this current season, but we're not doing it based off this season, are we? We're doing it.
We're including this season, but just in general as well. Yeah, obviously, what they've done in the Prem.
Yeah. Right. So goalkeeper first. I went first last time, so I say we do Regan, then me, then Charles this time.
Yeah.
Who's your goalkeeper pick, Regan?
I've got Nick Pope.
I knew you'd go for him. I knew it. I've gone for stuck between two. I'm going to go for Hugo Lloris.
I've gone for Nick Pope also.
Oh, well, cheers. Might as well just stop.
Well, no. I want to hear what you have to say on Hugo Lloris.
My other thing was Ben Foster, just because I literally don't see.
I had Ben Foster second.
I went for Hugo Lloris because we were mentioning before the pod. We were saying about like how players are overhated, maybe more than underrated, and I feel like he's had. I know the last couple of seasons has not been great for him because he's had stuff like injury problems and he's been in and out of the side. But the guy gets a lot of abuse, and I think he's not even I know this may sound stupid, but I don't think he's even respected as a good quality goalkeeper anymore. The guy pulls off some outrageous saves. He's had to play in a really dismembered sort of Spurs side recently who were just awful, and that defending against like Sheffield United was shocking. And I think he's just been a victim to Spurs being very poor. But I think Lloris is still. I'm not saying he's the best keeper in the league. He's definitely not. But I think he's been disrespected too much, to be honest. That's all. I just think he gets disrespected too much. He sort of gets labelled as like, I don't know, not reliable. Whereas I
think he's going through like what the David De Gea phase is, because when you look at Mourinho teams, they like to. I feel like Mourinho relies on his goalkeepers a lot to make saves and literally lets the other teams attack and then get him on the counter attack. And I feel like Lloris, yeah, he has to do a lot, and yes, he's prone to make mistakes because if you face so many shots a game, you're bound to make one or two mistakes. But yeah, I'd say yeah. I don't think it's a case of underrated. Yeah, he's overhated more than underrated.
Maybe I understand why he wouldn't be in the team, but I just thought I'd make his case because, to be honest, I did actually think you were both going to put Nick Pope, which you did.
But you are right. If we're just doing it out and out overhated 11, I'd say no question. Apart from him and David De Gea,
yeah,
he's in there. But yeah, Nick Pope. Do you want to say anything about him, Charles?
I think it's interesting with keepers like this because obviously when you talk about these sort of players that are on the fringe, the discussion is, are they good enough for the England squad? Are they not good enough for the England squad? And I feel like Nick Pope kind of had his time being discussed in the conversation, and it kind of went off a bit. And it's that goalkeeper spot at Burnley has always been quite precarious, and I just feel like he's made it his own. And in recent weeks, he's been quality, so he's kind of slightly back in that discussion. But I think just overall, I think his ability is kind of underrated. And also, I feel like he's quite important for that Burnley squad as well. Not necessarily saying I'd start him for England, but I feel like he definitely should be one of the names in the discussion, say if Pickford form were to drop off.
I feel like if because did Southgate say that he picked England teams on form or something?
Yeah, he did. And to be honest, I think he gets way too much abuse for that. I think he does pick it more on form than most England managers have in the book.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah, I feel for a while now, especially this season, because I don't think Pickford's had a good season at all. I feel like Nick Pope should be starting for England at this point.
Yeah, this is where I come with Nick Pope. I think really on merit, he probably does deserve to be playing for England. Personally, I know Jordan Pickford has had a difficult season. I really wish Pickford would leave Everton, to be honest, because I think you're just destined for disaster at Everton. I don't think you're ever going to make yourself better at Everton, personally. I think you're just prepared to be shot down. But yeah, he hasn't had the best of seasons. But what I think of Pickford, I think he's got more potential, personally. I think he's got more about him as a goalkeeper, and if he can cut out the mistakes, he will be a top goalkeeper. And with Nick Pope, I think that, I don't know what it is, I think he gets helped, and a lot of goalkeepers do get helped with it. And to be fair, he's relished a chance and done well. He gets helped by Burnley play this 4-4-2, sit back, and they give away very few chances anyway, Burnley, do they? So, I mean, you've got to be switched on, and he does well, and he commands his box well. But I also do think that his whole clean sheets thing isn't as surprising as people may think it is when he plays for Burnley. Because what do Burnley do? They sit back, play 4-4-2 and hope to nick a goal, don't they? That's what they do.
I don't understand why people decide that who's the best goalie based on clean sheets, because but you see every single season a Burnley keeper is up there.
Yeah, they are.
They've nowhere near got the best defence or anything. It's just that's the way they play.
Yeah, but I'll be honest, Nick Pope probably is. I was struggling for goalkeepers, I think, are underrated. I think some shouts you could chuck, like Dubravka, but I think people do rate Dubravka.
People do rate. Ben Foster as well, I think he's slowly starting to get his plaudits.
Yeah.
I mean, at the age of 38, but you know what I mean? He's
years, Ben Foster. I don't think he's really done much wrong ever since he left Manchester United, really.
I feel like if we did the Premier League as a whole, as in from his entire career in the Premier League, I'd say he's probably the most underrated one.
Yeah. Right, so we're going Nick Pope in goal then, are we?
Indeed.
That's not really that surprising, is it? Right, Regan, rattle off your back four.
Right, I've got. I'll go from right back to left back. Right back, I've got Mason Holgate. I've got Connor Cody, Roman Saiss, and Aaron Creswell.
Oh, Bill's thrown up in his mouth.
Did you just say Mason Holgate? Oh, no. There's plenty wrong with that one. There's plenty wrong with that. Right, my one. Regan, we've somehow agreed on the left back. I didn't even know if I wanted to put him in. But I'm gonna go right back Matt Doherty from Wolves. Centre backs Gary Cahill and Jan Vertonghen, and left back Aaron Creswell.
I've gone for Mariappa. I'll explain why. Gary Cahill, Tarkowski, and this one's I've gone for Harry Maguire, I think.
Nice. Oh, I like that shout. I do like that shout. Right, who should we address first? I think the first two players should be addressed to the two players that were agreed on twice were Gary Cahill and Aaron Creswell. Do you want to address maybe Gary Cahill first? What was your thoughts behind that?
Well, I think he's been outstanding for Palace this season, personally. Whenever I've watched him play, and I think it was the perfect career move for him, essentially. Looking at his career as a whole, I think Gary Cahill had 2 or 3 seasons where he was outstanding for Chelsea. Like, he was one of those players I don't think they ever needed to replace. Now, guaranteed towards the back end of his Chelsea years, was he good enough to start for Chelsea? Probably not. But then if you're expecting Gary Cahill to be this like centre back who's like best 3 centre backs in the league, then I think you're expecting too much of him. He's a very good leader, quality defender, and obviously like distribution-wise, pass-wise, sometimes he can be a bit frail. But I feel like at Chelsea, if you're starting centre back for Chelsea, it's like you've got to be world class. He was just a very good centre back in my opinion. And towards the end, yeah, he needed to leave. But for me, I think he's been outstanding at Palace, and I don't think he does get his plaudits, to be fair.
I completely agree. And I think one thing that sets Gary Cahill up for this and why he has been so underrated and why I think he is, like, he should get, when he retires, he should get the respect that a lot of the big centre-backs get. It's because Cahill he's always applied himself right. So he had his time before he got to Chelsea. He was a very good centre-back. He got his plaudits. He went to Chelsea. He never really stepped many feet wrong for Chelsea, did he? He was always solid next to Terry, next to whoever he was. And then, maybe the last year, he started to get a bit exposed. He was getting a bit slower. Chelsea were trying to play this, forward-thinking football, and it didn't work for him. But then he went to Crystal Palace, and instead of being one of these players who sort of fizzles out, just takes the paycheck, he's proper applied himself and he wants to do well for that team. He's like a proper leader every week. He never really sets a foot wrong in that defence. I just like how no matter what club he's been at, you can always say that he's applied himself right. He's been a leader, and he's always
didn't hold Chelsea to ransom at the end as well. But when he didn't get any games under Conte, it was just like he got on with it.
He didn't moan, and then at the end of the year, he left to a club where he knew he could play football. I think Gary Coates. I think he's the model pro, and I think that's why he should be underrated. And to go of it, he was a proper good centre back. I mean, he won the Champions League. So
did Ryan Bertrand.
So did Ryan Bertrand. Yeah, slagged him off for that. So there you go. Yeah, Regan, would you be happy to put Gary Cahill in there?
Yeah, I was going to say that the only reason I didn't put him in was because I feel like at Palace, I think he is extremely rated highly. But I feel like in his time at his time as Chelsea, especially, I feel like he got hard done by Chelsea mainly after Terry left, because trying to fill John Terry's shoes as an English centre back captain.
Yeah.
To try and fulfill John Terry.
They tried and pushed it on Cahill, didn't they? And Cahill was
never. If we're all being honest, he was never going to be. He's not going to quite a Terry, obviously.
That's why I feel like he was underrated in that element, because everyone was comparing him to John Terry, and obviously he's never going to be John Terry. Let's be honest, as a Chelsea captain. But I feel like he did a very good job. I just didn't feel like he got the plaudits there. So yeah, I would agree that he goes in there. But this season, to say he's underrated, I think is just wrong, because I think this season he's been very highly rated. But overall, for his career in the Premier League, even his time at Bolton, I think he was quite underrated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy to put him in.
Right, we'll chuck Cahill in. And then the other agreement was
Cresswell.
What do you think about Aaron Cresswell, Charles? Because you didn't put him in yours.
I was teetering on putting him in, but to be fair, I can't necessarily I can't judge too much of this season because I haven't watched that much West Ham. But I know for a fact that over his career, he's had some spells in that West Ham squad where he's been quality, and I just feel like sometimes he's seen as not a joke. No one's like joking about. He's not like the butt of the joke, but in a league that has struggled for really good longevity fullbacks, I feel like for how long he's been in the Premier League and some of the injuries he's got, the fact that he's managed to sustain himself in the league has been fairly impressive, to be fair. And I wouldn't say he's like an outstanding fullback, but I think he's quality. I think he's good for that West Ham team. I don't know.
What I struggled with, the reason I was teetering on not putting Cresswell in is because he plays for West Ham, and I just think West Ham are just like, they're just like, I don't like watching them. They're just horrible at the moment, to be honest. Ever since they left Upton Park, I've lost all sort of like what I like about that club. But Cresswell, when he first joined them, when they had those seasons at Upton Park, he was phenomenal. He was like what Ben Chilwell is now, or like what Ben Chilwell was hyped up to be when Leicester were doing really well.
He got the England squad a few times.
Yeah, Cresswell got in the England squad. His delivery was amazing. He always put in a shift. He has sort of his assists and stuff have dwindled a bit, but so have West Ham got worse. So it's not. I don't think it's really his fault. West Ham's defence ain't great. Once again, I don't think it's really his fault. And he's had a hard time with it. But I think he deserves to be in there because you're right, Charles. He has had longevity. And longevity is hard with fullbacks. Like you see it with Leighton Baines, and Leighton Baines did tail off, didn't he, compared to the assists and goals he used to get. But that's always going to happen because in the modern era, fullbacks are so valued and they're
expected so much.
Fullbacks are now expected. Like you're only a good fullback if you're getting like 12 assists, aren't you? Like Trent and Robertson and like Chilwell was, and like Cresswell was back in his day, like that. So and like Carl Walker, Danny Rose when they had their time at Spurs. So when you're not doing those sort of numbers, you're sort of just cast aside. But I think really you can't expect a fullback to be like that with that energy every single season. And but yeah, you're right. He is sort of like he is laughed at a bit, isn't he? Just because he's part of West Ham, he's not really rated at all by anyone anymore, which I think is hard. I think that's why he's in my team. I think it's harsh. I think he's still a good fullback.
Yeah, like you said, I think everyone, you see West Ham, especially with the attacking power they have, which we'll talk about in another episode, that you look at their defence, even in their reserves and everything, you can't help but laugh at how bad their defence is.
Yeah.
But
the management has been awful, to be fair.
Because he doesn't actually. I don't think he starts every game for them either. I can't. It's Masuaku, isn't it? That you
cheated with Masuaku over the years and stuff like that.
I feel like, especially, I can't remember if it was this season or not. His game he played against Man United, where he was literally man of the match and he scored an absolute wonder free kick. He controlled that game against. Well, looking at it now, a top three contending side.
Yeah.
And I don't think many people realise that he's probably one of the best set piece specialists.
Yeah, he was so good in that. Like those couple of years, he was so good. He did teeter off a bit, but I still think he deserves to be in the team.
So we'll put him in there.
We're not saying he deserves an England place or nothing.
No. We're just saying he's underrated.
Yeah. Of the players that I've got, the one that I mean, Tarkowski. The only reason I said really is I think his name should be brought more in the England conversation. I think overall as a defender, I don't think he's severely underrated. He was the kind of one I was the least convinced about. The only reason I said is just because I feel like in the England debate, he's not really. He deserves a bit more a name.
He should be in that instead of Tyrone Mings.
Yeah, exactly. Should I just go through my picks and then we go through each other's picks? Just give a quick little thing about it. So Mariappa, I found a stat, and it's Mariappa has never started a Premier League game in August and September, yet he always manages to get about 25 appearances a season and it becomes the starting defender towards the end. And I feel like there's a weird correlation. When Mariappa starts playing, they start getting a bit more solid. And I feel like whenever I watch him play, like the whole thing is that he's a championship defender. And to be honest, he probably is a championship defender, but he's kind of a joke. And I feel like he's weirdly solid. And it's strange. It's so strange to say that. But when I was thinking like Mariappa, and I kept searching up stats, like he always gets into the manager's favour towards the end of the season. And I think if you look at that, I feel like that you've got to give him some praise to that extent. The fact that every manager has turned their opinion on him and he started to start for them. That was my stake on Mariappa, to be fair.
I feel like I actually get what you're saying, because it's kind of similar to the Aaron Cresswell situation, that Watford's defence is some of the worst in the league. But except for when people talk about, why are you looking at me like that? When people talk about West Ham, people actually talk about West Ham. No one speaks about Watford, so I feel like he goes under the radar. But I don't think anyone apart.
I'm not saying he's a quality defender. I'm just saying he's not a joke.
I'm just disgusted by the fact that I'm teetering towards putting him in the team, and I'm disgusted by myself. Like Charles knows, Adrian Mariappa is the exact sort of player I sit there and I watch TV and I just slag off. And I can't. I'll go, how's he in the Prem? How's he in the Prem? How's he in the Prem? But when you say it like that, you are right. Whenever Watford have had their better spells, because Watford are a team that go through a lot of inconsistency, don't they? Because they've got
so many managers.
And even though I never look at Mariappa and think he's done well, they always are better when he's in the team, I feel like.
I mean, it's either him or Darryl Young.
Something.
I'd take Mariappa.
Oh.
Who was your right back, though?
Huh?
Who was your right back?
Matt Doherty has to be in the team for me. He
I
absolutely.
don't think so, because I think he's, in my opinion, he's top 2, top 3. I think he's underrated.
I think we have to look at the overall consensus.
We're not thinking about how you rate players. It's not about how. Does Matt Doherty get the plaudits? I know Wolves do. I don't think Doherty does.
Wasn't he in team of the season last season?
Just because he scores goals and gets assists, I'm not sure he does get.
If you said Doherty, you'd also have to plead a case for Johnny at left back.
No, you wouldn't. Because that guy's a Spanish tar. Like what?
What if Doherty was Spanish? Would you say that as well?
Oh, he's an Irish tar. I don't know. Whatever. No, I think Doherty's so much better than Johnny in my opinion. Doherty is a lot of the reason why Wolves do good things down that. Right, he's him and Adama Traore down that right hand side. Doherty, how many times do you see Wolves win like 1-0 or like they nick a late goal and it's Matt Doherty? He gets he scored quite a few decent amount of goals. I never see him really play badly. And to be honest, I've always thought, it surprised me, he's always been a League One defender because he was there in League One. And he's always been that sort of, but really, I think out of any player that I've seen adapt from lower leagues to then go like so quickly, just seamlessly like that. Because I know Vardy did it, but there's other strikers who do it. But for a right back, I think he's done really well, and I think he doesn't get the plaudits he deserves. And I think he could play for an even bigger club. Not that he'd want to.
Who have you gone for in that position, Regan?
Mason bloody Holgate.
Mason Holgate. Yeah, explain yourself.
I feel like, not gonna lie, I did struggle with the right backs.
No, you don't say.
I was going to put Doherty, and mainly because I don't think he is underrated at all.
Right.
I'd say mainly this season, solely, I think Mason Holgate's gone quite under the radar, because I feel like he has had a very good seat. This season, you can't deny he's had a very...
You can't deny it.
You can't deny he hasn't had a bad season.
No, Charles, I actually can't believe the waffling. No, I can't believe the waffle I'm hearing. He is one of the footballers I hate the most, and I genuinely think he should.
Oh, then you can't say anything because you're biased.
No.
Use some Mason Colgate and wash out your mouth.
I don't have anything against Mason Holgate. He's a personal fit. I watch him and I am baffled that guy plays in the Premier League. I wouldn't have him at Brentford. I'm baffled if he got a team. He should be playing League One football. That guy. He's not good. He's not good. He's not good. That's it.
I can't deny, Regan. I do agree with Bill on this one. I've got to say.
You know, like when you think, oh, Holgate's finally going to get, he finally gets another chance in that Everton defence. He does, and they lose 4-0. He's shit. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not having it. I'm just not having that one, Regan. I can't put Holgate in my team. I just can't.
I feel like that. I'm not going to plead his case anymore because let's be honest, he's not going on the team. But I feel like that. What you say against him, like he's saying, oh, he goes in the team and loses 4-0 or whatever. even against that Liverpool team when he put in a man of the match performance in a 0.
Well done.
You do that.
I love how Bill's counterpoint was well done.
I feel like that.
No, but Holgate's like one of those players. Like I would have said it about Mariappa, but when Charles made the case for Mariappa, I can get behind the case. Holgate, no chance.
I feel like because you have a personal vendetta against him.
No. I like Everton, and I really want those youngsters to do well. But Jesus Christ, the guy's shit.
He's in the Matthew Pennington sort of kind of league of players.
The bloke's stealing a living.
I feel like that if he's not in underrated, based on especially what you've just said, he's overhated.
No.
Right, should we just move? Let's just move on because this is going to get ridiculous.
Harry Apple, welcome to the team.
Right, so we've got. You know what? I hate myself for it. We'll put Mariappa in the team. So we've got Gary Cahill, Mariappa, and Aaron Creswell. And so we're deciding between last defence position between Harry Maguire, James Tarkowski, and Matt Doherty. It seems for me, it's got.
I'm not going to put Tarkowski.
So between Doherty and Maguire.
Well, we haven't spoken about Maguire.
What about you? Who do you?
I want to plead a case for Roman Saiz.
Oh yeah, sorry, I had Jan Vertonghen as well.
I want to plead a case for Roman Saiz.
Go on.
Yeah, we'll make a case for one more player each, and then we'll.
Well, it's either Cody or Saiz, but I feel like Roman's, especially over the last.
Cody gets plaudits, I think.
Yeah, I feel like Roman Saiz that everyone said especially because when we watched him in the Championship, he was always a solid centre midfielder. But over the last 2 seasons, he has been made to play centre back, especially when Willy Bolly's out injured. And I feel like that. Yes, it's Wolves' attack that gets all the plaudits and all that, and Connor Cody as well, and Doherty. But I feel like he is a piece of that defence. I never see anyone give any plaudits at all. And yes, he's not the centre back that Wolves ideally want. But I feel as versatile as he is, because he plays in centre mid, he plays CDM with Dendoncker, and when they need him, he plays centre back. And I feel like every time he does a fantastic job.
Can't argue with it.
I can't argue with that. Actually, that's a solid argument.
I just don't know. If we're going off underrated, you're right, but it's just that I don't.
Well, to be fair, I don't think I've ever heard anyone put Saiz in the conversation out of those Wolves players.
I also think he'd be the first one to get, like, if Wolves buy another set, he's the first one out of that defence. Like,
He's not a defender, is he?
No, but he doesn't really play centre mid for them anymore. I think he is a defender for them now.
I think he's more CDM with.
Yeah. Now they've got Dendoncker, Neves, Moutinho, all of those options. I don't think he really gets a shout in midfield. So that's why he's back in defence.
I know, but I feel like for what he's done, like I said, he doesn't get any plaudits, and he's been brilliant this season, I think.
Yeah. Right, go on, Charles. You do your Maguire.
Well, my thing with Maguire, it's kind of more about overhated, over underrated. So let's think about Maguire's career and what he could have done to have changed this. Had a really, really, went to Leicester, did really well for them, really good World Cup, and then had a quality end to his Leicester career to the point where Man United felt they needed to pay the amount for him. Bear in mind, he didn't dictate how much he got paid for. Has gone to United, and yeah, he's made some mistakes, but he's made some mistakes in a shoddy, at times, poorly managed Man United team, a team with no coherence to it particularly, and a team that at times has showed no bottle. And I think when Man United, I saw someone on Man United fan TV going, United, because since they've had the run of form, have had got the best front five in the world and all this kind of stuff. And obviously all the attacking players get applauded. But I don't know, Maguire for me, I just don't think he's done too much wrong in his career to get hate. Do you know what I mean? Like he makes some mistakes.
I completely agree.
Dodgy, but I don't know what he's done wrong in his career other than get bought for quite a lot of money.
That's all. Yeah, exactly. That's all he's done. All he's done is play well in his career. He's had the odd mistake. Every footballer gets the odd mistake, but his mistakes get so. And it's trendy. You know what? It's trendy to say Maguire's crap, and it's because opposition fans, are trying to laugh at Manchester United. I think that's why. I mean, I don't know, and I know that's what
And he's the figurehead because he signed for so much, and they missed out on all these players to get Maguire per se.
Van Dijk, you know what? With these big clubs, money don't mean shit. It doesn't matter how much for a big club. For the smaller clubs, it does because you can waste it. But for these clubs that are generating so much money, it doesn't bloody matter what they spent on the player. It don't. It really don't. I mean, it does within financial fair play, and I wish they wouldn't spend that much. But at the end of the day, it doesn't actually matter to the football club. Manchester United would have made that money back easy. It doesn't even mean anything. Like it doesn't. So yeah, you're right. I think Maguire gets way too much hate, and it's all this trendy stuff. I say it every time. It is trendy to hate on English players. The whole thing that English players get rated too highly is a load of bollocks, in my opinion. I think English players get pushed down too much. They get. It's because we get excited when there's a good English player that comes around because we have been deprived. But I don't think English fans are like ridiculous saying they're going to be like Messi. It's these people, and then they make like, and these players will do like make a bad mistake. And they'll be like, "Oh yeah, but they're nothing like this guy who plays in the Italian league." And shut up! Like I think it's trendy to hate on English players. It's Richard Regan. Regan has sort of calmed it down though, but he used to do it too much. I'd be like,
yeah. I've got to be honest. Towards the end, I did feel I just did it to wind you up.
Yeah,
but now obviously I've been watching more of the English leagues. I'm like, yeah.
Keep the defence there. Personally, I really want Matt Doherty in it, but I can see that I'm not going to win that battle. It seems.
Well, I think it's between Matt Doherty and Sykes, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think Maguire, you're right, he gets overhated, but I don't think he's underrated.
He's not underrated. No. I've got the vote here. Have I?
Yeah.
Okay. Just because I didn't even think about it, I've got to go for Roman Sykes. Because we're doing underrated and I didn't even think about his impact with the squad.
The only reason I didn't like it is because I look at our team now, and
the defence isn't great, realistically.
We've got our defence of Aaron Creswell, Gary Cahill, Roman Sykes, and
Marianne.
It's like, Jesus.
Everyone's attacking down that right-hand side.
Yeah. All right, midfield.
Midfield, where's my... Regan.
I went for... Let's see. I did kind of a 4-1-2-1-2 thing where I've got a CDM and a cam.
Don't worry about that.
That's fine, yeah.
I've got Ruben Neves, Manuel Lanzini, Harvey Barnes, and Leandro Trossard.
I knew Trossard was going in there for me. Well, see, I got Luka Mijovic from Crystal Palace. I've got Ollie Norwood from Sheffield United. I've got Stuart Armstrong from Southampton. I've got Harvey Barnes from Leicester.
Oh, we've put nobody the same other than Barnes. So I've got James MacArthur at Palace. I've got Declan Rice, and I've got this is the one that he hasn't played this year, but everyone's forgotten about him because I've gone for David Brooks at Bournemouth.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
So the only one we've agreed on is Harvey Barnes. Huh?
What formation have you gone for?
I've just went for 3 centre mids, basically.
You went for 3 defenders?
No, 4 defenders. I had Maguire, Tarkowski, Cahill, and Mariappa.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. That's why I got confused.
3-3-4.
Well, I mean, we always address the person we agreed on first, Harvey Barnes. Leicester, I think Leicester are just a much better team with Harvey Barnes in it. They rotate those like wide, because they play quite like weird. They play like a 4-1-4-1 with like sort of attacking line, and it changes a lot. I feel they're always better when Harvey Barnes is in it. I think he's got a decent goal output. And I think he's strong, powerful, and he's adapted to the Premier League well. And he doesn't, to be honest, do you ever see Harvey Barnes get applauded at all? Like, you don't.
No.
And he's one of the better players in a team that's until very recently was in the top 4. So I think that's just my case. I think it really goes without saying, to be honest.
Can't say anything else about it, can you?
No.
That's fair. Yeah, I think we've all gone for such different players. So should we like just accept that one of our players won't get in and then just to make the case for the other ones? So I've got 3. So I probably wouldn't say that Declan Rice would get into our team.
Yeah, I would say. I kind of got confused when you said that.
Yeah, I really like him, and I think he's approaching his career in the right way. But I can understand. Yeah, I can understand it. James MacArthur, I feel like he's one of those players where players at big clubs who do his role. Say you had someone who did his sort of role at Man United or who did his sort of role at Arsenal, they'd be going, "Oh, he's quality, he's the glue that keeps the team together." But because he's doing it at, let's be honest, a fairly inconsequential Crystal Palace team, he doesn't get any plaudits, in my opinion. And there was that weird time where it was MacArthur and McCarthy at Wigan. And I remember James McCarthy was the one who was going to be really good, going to make a career for himself, got his Everton move. And I feel like James MacArthur has just gone about his career in such a, let's face it, an inconsequential manner. Hasn't done anything too flashy, but I think for how solid he is for Crystal Palace, but over the amount of time that he's done it, he's had like nearly 500 like Premier League appearances at this point. He's been in the league a long time, and I just feel like he doesn't get any kind of mention for what he does at Crystal Palace and through his career. To be fair.
I'll agree. I think he doesn't get any mention. He has always been a consistently decent player. The only reason I'd vote against is because I mean, when he's on the pitch, and I noticed, I don't really notice him there. But I mean,
that's because you don't know football, Bill.
Yeah, that's because I don't know football. But
you're not watching the game.
But to be fair, it's also a bit of that. You know, like when you watch football, and like, it's hard to remember when I look back at probably
a solid MacArthur pot.
It's hard to remember one where I'm like, oh God, MacArthur played well. But I probably can't remember one where he's. I've never. That is a point, though. You know me. I'm very cynical of players. I've never looked at James MacArthur and gone, "Oh, how's he in the Premier League? Oh, what's he doing?" I always see him there and think, "Yeah, he's a decent midfielder." So, I mean, I get the point, and you're right. That guy has never had a plaudit. He has never got it. And to be honest, he probably went on to have a better career than James McCarthy. I know McCarthy was done by injury, but he has probably had the better career.
Mainly because he's starting over him, and they both play for the same team.
Same club, yeah. No, I mean, I can't really disagree with MacArthur. I don't know. I think I personally have better players here.
Yeah,
we have sort of ditched a better player thing for who is actually the most underrated, really, of this team, haven't we?
Which is good. Which is good for the dichotomy of the squad. But I'll just go through. I'll go for, say, David Brooks. I feel like in the first season of us doing the podcast, we gave him a lot of plaudits, and quite rightfully so. Sorry, he was quality in that Bournemouth team, and obviously he got the long-term injury this season, so you can't say whether he's been underrated or overrated because he just hasn't played. But with Bournemouth likely going down, I think he's still got a really good career. I still think he's actually, of those young sort of midfielders that kind of came through, I feel like he's one of those players that has kind of been forgotten about because of his injury, because he lost that kind of momentum with it. And I just feel like if you're a Premier League team that's mid-table to sort of upper end, I think they should be taking a chance on him. I think he was amazing.
I agree. But I think he was absolutely amazing for Bournemouth, and he's like, I loved the way Bournemouth played, and I've always loved the way Bournemouth played, apart from this season when they've been absolute dross. But the only thing Drossard. The only thing I will say is I'd like to see how he bounces back from the injury, because I mean, I know he's only had a few chances since, but I mean, he hasn't done anything of those chances since.
No, you're right.
It's hard to come back from injury. Injuries like that can affect a player and just randomly stall them, and he could end up just being, do you know what I mean, like dwindling out. I mean, I hope he
like
does.
A Barry Bannon or something.
Yeah, but he's a good player, and I agree that I hope a team takes a chance on him. But I can't say yet we're roughly the chance to be successful, to be honest.
I have a bad feeling that this seat, if they do go down, which they probably will, I don't think, based on this season and his injury, I don't think anyone will take a chance on him.
No, I don't think they will either.
I don't want him I don't want to see him in the Championship, because I think he's better than that.
Yeah, he is better than that. Yeah.
Sad player.
So go on, Regan. Who's your options again?
Lanzini, Neves, and Trossard.
The
only reason I say Ruben Neves is because watching him in the Championship, he's probably one of the best Championship midfielders we've seen in a long time.
There's only one who's better, isn't there?
Tom Kearney. Oh, is it not?
No.
Oh, okay. It's probably what's his name? Barry Bannon. I feel like as he's moved into the Prem, and obviously with Wolves trying to improve their game and they're bringing in more midfielders, especially João Moutinho, I feel like Neves has kind of been lost lost in the squad in some way. So I feel like the attention's more on Jimenez and Traore and Jota and all that and Moutinho. But I feel like he's kind of a James McArthur, but he's just a lot better that he does glue the team together. I don't think that, especially what we've seen in the Champ and the first season.
It's so hard.
I still think he gets his props. I still think he gets a lot of props.
I feel like he deserves a lot more though, because for his
No,
age,
like,
I think he's brilliant.
You know what I think of the thing of Ruben Neves is people look at Wolves team, they go, and they always mention Ruben Neves as one of the first players. They do, but when they are playing, you're right. Say like Wolves beat Manchester United 3-0. Ruben Neves don't get the plaudits for his performance. I think that's true. I don't think he really does actually. I do see. You're right. It is always given to like it's just given to bloody Adama Traore, isn't it? Every bloody time.
Off the bench in the 87th minute. Oh, it's always Adama, that one.
Have a day off, innit? But I do find it hard to put him in an underrated side though, because I mean people do still say Ruben Neves and go, Jesus, like he should be playing for a bit. Like, do you know what I mean? I think
that's the only thing that I feel like that he deserves more. He deserves more than he gets, but he's still rated by quite a lot of people.
Yeah. The Lanzini thing, I don't understand. I think he is rated by people, and then the reason he hasn't been rated recently is because he has been shit recently.
He's just been injured recently. I feel like a lot of people forgot.
And injured, yeah.
Yeah, he has been injured, yeah, but I don't think he has had like a few opportunities since he's come back to do something. Has he really done any?
Yeah, I'm not totally sold on Lanzini to be
If
fair.
you said Lanzini, like, before he got all those injuries and stuff, I'd have said 100%.
When he was scoring all those North London, well, so not North London, just London derbies.
Yeah, I would 100% put him in because I still don't think he actually got the plaudits back then enough. But now, I'm not convinced now, personally.
That's why I'm only saying that off this season, I don't think he deserves. But I feel like for his career in the Premier League,
yeah, maybe so.
Because obviously we haven't seen him enough this season to judge him at all. Because he might be crap, you know.
So at the moment, we've got James we agreed that James McArthur's going in because.
Would you want to plead the case for Milivojevic? Because I don't really want two Palace CDMs.
Yeah, Milivojevic. I just think, like Charles said, with McCarthy's the glue that holds that midfield together. I just think Milivojevic is the goal contributor. I know he scores penalties, free kicks. It's penalties, I know. He got a good goal contribution for a central midfielder. Bloody hell, he's strong in a challenge. Jesus Christ, the guy crunches people in midfield. Keeps the ball well, and I think they really are. Like MacArthur, I feel like can be replaced when you have people like Kouyaté. I mean, I know Kouyaté's not. You wouldn't rely on Kouyaté as much as you would MacArthur or something like that. But there is other options. McCarthy can go in there, but I feel like Crystal Palace completely lose their spine without Milivojevic, and I just think. And to be honest, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do, but I do very rarely see him get plaudits. I don't. Like, I think he could probably play for a slightly better club, to be honest. But I just think it's another case of just not getting any plaudits when really, like in terms of mid-table clubs and the good players, he's right up there in terms of contribution to the side. It's just what I think. I think he keeps the whole team going. And to be honest, how many points has he won for Crystal Palace?
Too many now.
Yeah, he has. How many times? I know it's easy when you're the penalty taker. I am sort of trying to take that with a pinch of salt, but he does. He rarely misses, does he? And
I think he's missed in.
No, and he's scored that free kick at Bournemouth, and he's done a couple before. And I don't know. I always see him. I feel like he's a player that pops up when Palace need him. I think that's what he is.
Mr. Reliable.
Fair enough.
And I don't think he ever gets the plaudits for that. I'm happy to not say Stuart Armstrong, but my other player is Oliver Norwood, and that guy should have been playing in the Premier League a while ago. He had to keep having another bite of the Championship, which wasn't fair. When he got released from, I think it was Reading before Sheffield United bought him, or when it was something like that.
I think it was Reading, yeah.
He didn't even get the plaudits in the Championship, and I was so wanted him at Brentford. Like, I was like, why are we not getting this guy? This guy's ridiculous. And obviously Sheffield United went and got him, and they went up. But the guy, when you have these deep-lying playmakers who get the ball and they just ping it about from side to side, he does it, and he does it just as good as anyone else does it. And it really works for Sheffield United because they know they have the players who just overload those sides so much. And he always finds the foot of like Baldock or Stevens. He always his passing is so immaculate. And I think that Norwood, it's hard to say. I keep saying this when there's players like Wolves and Sheffield United because I really respect those clubs and they're doing well. But I do think Sheffield United are going to tail off again next season, unfortunately. But I think Norwood does it just as good as a lot of the big players who get plaudit. I think Oliver Norwood does it just as well as Ruben Neves does.
I feel like I'm going to be biased here, but obviously he was a really big help, I'd say. He's kind of like the Harrison Reed of he helped us.
Oliver Norwood got 3 back-to-back promotions from the Championship. And was one of those players who just never got his go in the Premier League. And look, he's had his go in the Premier League, and he's been ridiculously good.
I think we've got to put him in there.
Yeah, right. So we've got Harvey Barnes, we've got Oliver Norwood. Are we going MacArthur over Mijovic?
Well, I quite like Regan's Trossard shout, to be fair. I feel like we mentioned him quite a lot on this podcast, but again, I've never really heard.
Can't we? That would work.
Yeah, we'll go 4-4-2. Go on. Chuck Trossard in there, because I agree with the Trossard pick.
I just feel like a lot of Brighton players are underrated, and I feel like that, even though I've said it all season, he's the main reason why he's been.
Brighton players are underrated just because they're quite unassuming, aren't they? Because they do change their team quite a lot. Do you know what I mean? It feels like they do anyway. There are a lot of. I know this sounds so stupid. It'll probably be the same when Brentford go up. Well, I just said that. No, if Brentford go up, because we sign Championship fans do it to us when we sign all these foreign players, and they're like, who the hell are these? So they just bother not to rate them. I do the same with Brighton sometimes, and really they are good. And but Trossard's definitely the standout player. So if our midfield is Trossard, Harvey Barnes, James MacArthur, and Oliver Norwood, is that fair?
That's good. Yeah.
So we've going to go 2 up front. I know Charles has probably got 3 forward options though, isn't he?
Yeah, I do. But it's fine.
What's your forward options, Regan?
Chris Wood.
Okay.
One that I don't want to say. I'm going for it. Oh, Neil. Come on, Neil.
Well, I've got Neil in my front, so yeah. And bit of a weird pick, but I did it rushed. I actually don't mind the Chris Wood. I went Raul Jimenez because I don't just think he's a good striker, which he's rated as. I think he's a world-class striker. But then Charles, your front row.
Oh, what have I just said?
I've gone. So the one that I won't get in there because he's kind of a winger, and he was I got for Riyad Mahrez. But my 2 out-and-out strikers have gone for Jay Rodriguez, and I've gone for Harry Kane.
Oh, I was going to put Harry in as well. I was going to do it instead of Jimenez, but I thought no one would agree and everyone would just have a go, and it's a typical me sort of pick. So we've got to address the elephant in the room now, Regan, and it's not me. It's it's Neil.
Neil.
You know what? I talk enough about Neil. Go on, Regan.
He's a terrible player, and I don't. But on a real, I feel like his bulldog mentality, especially what he's shown in Brentford, I feel like he suits the Premier League to a T with what he is, his toughness, and especially I didn't watch a lot. I mean, God forbid I would ever watch Brentford, but I feel like last season when I saw the highlights of him, he was, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was kind of like a bit of like Ollie Watkins now. He got on the end of crosses and he just tapped in a lot of the time.
I've watched a lot of Brentford strikers, and it was just, even with Ollie Watkins now, Ollie Watkins, I love him, yeah. But he's still no Neil Maupay. The guy was just, I've never seen, I remember this goal away at Aston Villa, and the ball was sort of like the keeper was backpedaling, when players are all just throwing themselves at the ball, it's like going around a pot. Neil Maupay just went studs up and just flew himself into the ball, and he scored. And I was just like, that's a proper striker. That's what he is. He's a proper striker. When you get all your your granddads all got an old-fashioned striker, that's what Neil Maupay is. But he's got a lot of skill to his game as well. He's for such a small person, he's not quick. Neil Maupay, he's not really quick, but for such a small person, he's strong, and he's just always in the right place to score a goal. And
I feel like his technical ability does go under the radar a lot.
It does. He's got very good technical ability. I genuinely think, Brighton, he's done really well, Brighton. I think Brighton was a good move for him, and I have fair play. But I think he could go on and be, I know this time Jimenez is getting old. He could be the Wolves striker next. Like that sort of level. He could be at a club like that.
Everton,
could be a club, and he could score 15 to 20 Premier League goals. I think he could. I'm not saying he will, because things can go wrong, but I think he could do that. When you're a proper striker and you score goals, it doesn't matter what club you're at, in my opinion. I think Neil Maupay has to be in there. He has had, to be honest, to be fair, he has had a few plaudits, but in terms of when a pundit will give him a bit because he'll score a goal, but overall in the Premier League, you don't see fan bases talk about Neil Maupay unless he's stamping on someone's head, do you?
The way he's moved from the Championship and has adapted to the Premier League is plausible as well.
Yeah. I think Neil's got to go in there.
Fan base I hear talking about it now is Arsenal.
Yeah, and just because I love him.
All right.
You go next to him is the question now.
Regan, you say your other pick first.
Chris Wood.
I had Chris Wood. Mainly
Yeah.
that I feel like out of the two I feel like just Burnley strikers in just all of them quite underrated as such. But when I think of Burnley strikers, immediately I think Ashley Barnes immediately straight away. But I think Chris Wood was the one who went on loan last season, wasn't he? I think he was the one he got shipped out towards the end of the season. But I feel
Sam Vokes, wasn't it?
No, I feel like
Sam Vokes went on loan to where did he? He went to the Championship.
Yeah, he's at Stoke now, Sam Vokes. So.
Stoke, yeah.
I did feel like Chris Wood went on loan somewhere, but no, never mind. I feel like that I think he's in double figures this season now, Chris Wood.
He's had a couple of double-figure seasons for Burnley, if I'm not correct.
Yeah,
I'm not wrong.
I feel like he's very consistent, and it might just be because it's Burnley and because I don't think anyone really rates what they do because it's a grit and grind 1-0 win. But I feel like he's usually that one in the 1-0 win, and I feel like he doesn't really get any credit because Burnley's attack, like I said, they don't get any credit because they don't score an abundance of goals. I feel like his ability as well in the air, especially. I don't think there's many headers at the ball, especially up front, that are better than him.
No, to be honest, Ruben, I completely agree. And if I'd have thought of Chris Wood, I maybe would have put him in. I don't think people are going to agree with my Jimenez shout. I don't think they are they?
No, he gets a lot of plaudits, I think, nowadays. I think at the start he was underrated, and you said he was crap, didn't you? Like,
yeah, but I said he was crap.
He was pants. Like, he'll go off soon.
Yeah, he's actually I think probably my favourite striker in the league, behind Mr. Harry Kane and Neil. But Charles, you might as well make a case for Harry Kane then, because.
Well, Harry Kane, like I think you were discussing about the English media before. There's this trajectory where someone like Harry Kane, he comes out of nowhere and he starts to realize, we really like him. He has like 2 or 3 seasons of race quality, and then all these discussions start coming about him wanting to move to Real Madrid. Maybe he gets an injury, and then everyone just gets on his back as if as if he hasn't even said anything. He's been so good for Spurs. He's not even like gone in the media and started like fueling rumours that he's going to leave, and obviously he's had injuries, and like this season obviously his goal tally has been as great. But what has Kane done wrong? He has been world class whenever he's had a full season. He's up there in the top 2. I think him and Aguero are the best strikers in the league personally, and people in this country find any excuse. There's that syndrome of we want to see players do well, and then we're just as happy to see them decline into nothing. And I feel like Harry Kane is at the forefront of that sort of way of thinking in this country. When you think about what Harry Kane has done, he's been nothing short of world class throughout his time in the Premier League. And I just feel like people underrate him because, he's like, right, think about this, Bill. He was the top goal scorer at the World Cup, and everyone's first thing to say was, it was all against bad teams. What is Harry Kane meant to do about that? It's the hate against Harry Kane baffles me. It baffles me, and I just feel like he's a top. I don't know where he stands in the world of strikers.
Without his injury,
he's so good.
My opinion, without his injury, and we all know he's had this injury hit season yet, and it's been like a top really terrible one for Spurs as well. So it's been hard. He's got like not many goals this season, but we all know because Kane has injuries every season and still manages to get like 30 goals. So we know next season doesn't matter what happens. Harry Kane, as long as he's got the full season going into years, Harry Kane will get 25 goals next season. He will. But I think when Kane was like just before his injuries hit and like Spurs were like really on fire, and especially like last season at White Hart Lane and stuff, Harry Kane was the best striker in the world in my opinion. He's up, or at least level with the only person I personally put near him are Sergio Aguero and Robert Lewandowski for a proper number 9. I know there's Luis Suarez, all right, but I think Aguero and Lewandowski and Kane were the top 3 in the world. And I just, I feel, I completely agree with Charles. I just think the guy, what annoys me is I see these conversations and I want to scream at these shit YouTube channels every time they do them and scream at TV. Harry Kane will go, get back from injury. You can't get back to full fitness. Spurs be having a bit of a crap spell as well, which don't help, which keeps the pressure back on Kane a bit. He'll go 3 games without a goal, and they'll be saying stuff like, "Is he finished?" Look,
I think a key example. Remember when?
I'm sorry, you're chatting fucking bollocks. Like, you're so like these knobs from like the Football Daily. Just like, what are they on about?
It's
I mean,
not.
I've just shouted out. I don't even really watch Football Daily, so I've shouted them out for them. But you know what I mean? Like those sort of channels. I'm just like, what are you on about? Harry Kane is going to be. If he stays in the Premier League, he might not. If he stays in the Premier League, he's probably going to break Alan Shearer's record if it isn't for injuries. The guy is just ridiculously good. There was like a season he scored 40 goals in all competitions, and people were still saying stuff like he could have got more. Shut up! The guy's absolutely unbelievable. And I'll be honest, actually, you know what, Regan? I'd really like to shout Chris Wood, but I just got to put Kane in just because I want to back the argument. And he's ridiculous. Charles is right. The Kane has done nothing wrong.
What were you going to say, Regan?
I was going to say it's not just like smaller YouTube channels. It's the mainstream as well. Do you remember when he came back for the first game and he didn't score? And I think it was Paul Merson said, "Oh no, he don't suit Mourinho at all because he's played one game."
Merson's terrible. But
I feel like the end of this season and especially next season, if Mourinho stays on, will prove just how good he is. Because yes, it's Mourinho team, and he obviously. It's evident he don't use his number 9s a lot. He uses his wings and uses his fullbacks. I feel like if he gets 20, I'd say maybe even 15, 20 as a number 9 in Mourinho team, probably best, I don't know, top 4, 5 in the world.
Yeah, the goal record.
People don't say that. It's just like
it's the goal record. People are happy.
Obviously, Spurs fans will, but.
Yeah, Spurs fans, and Kane did get. We're not saying Kane didn't get his plaudits when he was doing well. Kane did get his plaudits, but
there's a trajectory where people have started to fallen off or something.
One rough year, and people are like, it's over. The guy's still quite young. He's got so many years left. He's playing it, and let's be honest, the Spurs team this year have been utter dross. So it's not like it's all his fault, is it? He's had the injuries, and he's still like. I don't know, is he their top scorer of the season or at least up there? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and he's barely played. Kane.
He's still in like the top 6 or 7 scorers in the season. Like, I think got 13 goals or something like that.
Yeah, and to be honest, Charles, he has not ever had a season really without injury. And he had that season, I think, got like 33 goals or something like that, 31. And he was injured that season.
Right. I think we've made our stake on Harry Kane.
Right, we've got to finish it off with the
I still got Jay Rodriguez. No, we're not going for him.
I think it's Kane and Neil, I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, of course it is, yeah.
Are we going to...
I quite like that front two of Kane and Neil in real life. That would be quite...
that is absolutely...
That'd be good.
That's goals on toast, that is, isn't it?
That is.
We've got to go for a gaffer before we finish.
Yeah, Regan, who have you...
This is going to delight Mr. Jack Appleby. No, it's not Steve Bruce. It's Ralph Hasenhüttl.
Ralph Hasenhüttl, okay.
Is no one else going to say theirs, or?
Yeah,
I'm waiting on the order's Bill, so I've got mine.
This ain't. Can I not say this is? I know it's a bit different for the team. The whole team we've done like off their Premier League careers stuff. And he still probably is a bit. I'm going Steve Bruce.
I'm going for Nuno Espirito Santos.
He's gone. Next.
Yeah.
Steve Bruce. My top 2 is either Ralph. I did actually change from Graham Potter because I feel like he's done a good job. But I say that every time we talk about Southampton, their individual man for man, that is some of the worst players in the Premier League.
Oh, to be fair, they do actually kind of make me want to poo a bit. No, you're right.
But I feel like yes, at the beginning of the season, around October, November, December, they were terrible, and they threatened to. I think he was so close to being sacked, Hasenhüttl. But what he's done, the stat last night that I think since December, I think Southampton now have the same amount of points as Leicester. And it's basically down to Hasenhüttl. He's changed everything. Yes, and he obviously has a disabled striker in Shea Adams. He's got the best out of what? What? You can't deny it.
It's just the fact that you picked him out of the whole squad.
No, but I feel like the
defenders are disabled as well.
But he is a bit, you know.
He's made Danny Ings.
Shea Adams was
Yes, it is mainly Danny Ings, but his service that he's made the team go through Danny Ings has made him. Is he second in Golden Boot, third?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, 21 goals, I think.
Yeah, man for man, the defence, apart from probably Norwich and maybe Sheffield United, some of the worst.
And Villa.
Some of the worst players you'll ever see.
Villa, can we just take a moment just to say Villa's defence actually makes me physically sick? Move on. All right.
I just don't want to say them because I don't really acknowledge them anymore.
I've been quite healthy this week, so I'd rather not mention the quality of some of those players.
I feel like what he's done with the players he's got, and the people he brought in didn't help. I mean, I can't even remember who bought one apart from Gineppo and the Birmingham City.
Gineppo's fucking off with Danny.
You're right. Hasenhüttl has got a pretty average team with an awful defence, playing good football. That's the first thing, isn't it? They're playing good football, and they're also safe from relegation. They're playing good football. The only thing that worries me is I know it takes time, but he did also have a part of last. Do you know, like when they went through that period and they lost 9-0 to Leicester?
Yeah.
I always have to worry that that's just going to come back again with them. Is the issue? Like, say next season, like he's got to get the recruitment right. We'll see what his recruitment's like. And I know he's got potential. You're thinking, oh, he's a manager who could get Southampton towards European places again. But also, he's a manager who, if the recruitment goes a bit wrong, do you know what I mean? You do. Maybe it's more because of Southampton's squad rather than him, but it just seems like they could be European places. They could be relegated.
It might be because that I unfortunately staying in the house with Ethan, that he says that their owner, there's no financial backing from their owner to work with what he's got. I don't think they signed I can't remember they signed anyone in January after they lost 9-0, and yet they somehow steered from they were 19th on a Boxing Day, something like that, and now they're 13th, 14th, something like that. It's down to him.
Comfortably above relegation.
Any financial backing at all. It's just down to what Hasenhüttl's done. And I feel like some managers, they would, after you get hammered like that, you just trail off.
Yeah.
And
he has done well to come back from that hammering, to be fair.
Yeah, and I think he's got the most points against the top 6 or something like that. There was a stat, something like that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, that's one thing he's got to do. That's one thing he's got to do. He's got a bit so Southampton can play against teams who will sit back. He's got a sort, because Southampton it plays into Southampton's hands. Your team having the ball because they like to press high. But I feel like they're like a one-trick pony. I mean, they do it really well, but if there's a game where like a team figures them out and goes, well, maybe we'll just hoof it along a bit, Southampton are buggered. Right? But yeah, you're right. Hasenhüttl's done well to bring. I'm going Steve Bruce just because.
I don't think I can ignore his career, to be honest, though, Bill. That's the problem. Has he got like the most Premier League losses in history?
His career ain't been that bad.
It's been pretty average, though, I know. Let's be honest.
The ring of John Bruce is because I hate Newcastle fans I just hate Newcastle fans. But
Jack,
who are entitled and they say this stuff back. I think Brucey's done better than Rafa Benitez. Like,
he's kept the ship that
or at least
steered the ship in a decent direction. Do you know what I mean?
Sorry, when Rafa Benitez was doing that at Newcastle, everyone was like, "That team's dreadful. It's all because of Benitez. They're that high in the league. If they had a bit of investment, they'd do really well." Well, Steve Bruce has done exactly the same,
except when they made a signing of Joel Linton
and Saint-Maximin.
Saint-Maximin, I'll give him
Saint-Maximin,
but still is pretty much the same side.
Yeah.
Really well. And what's Brucey really done wrong? I mean, but he still gets, but he literally just gets cast on, if Newcastle got new owners. I mean,
agreed.
They're just get rid of Brucey. Well, the guy's done a good job. I think until Newcastle get investment and actually sort out what they want to do with their club, Brucey's safe hands. It'll keep you in the Premier League.
I feel like it's a case of just, once again, Newcastle fans expect too much from their club. They expect that they'd be up there and they expect they're going to get Jose Mourinho.
Sorry, just because there's a lot of you doesn't mean you're entitled to anything. Do you know what I mean? Newcastle fans are best in world. No, it's just quite a big city of a lot of people, so of course there's going to be a lot of fans there. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know where you're from.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean.
Newcastle fans don't deserve any more success than Oldham fans. Like I always say, it's just a load of bollocks, that whole thing. Just because there's more of them.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I feel like that's a debate for another day, though, isn't it?
Go on, Santo and that.
Oh well, it doesn't really. It pales in comparison. He's not actually underrated, really, is he?
No,
he's getting teetered with all the big jobs.
Wolves are weird. Like pretty much the whole of Wolves could be underrated, but they're not. Like,
yeah, I'm a cock.
Just no one expects them to be where they are.
Right, so Charles, do you want to go Brucey or Hasenhüttl?
Well, that's a good question. I think I've just sorry. I think just looking at some of the points of Steve Bruce's career, I think I've got to go Hasenhüttl.
Brucey. He gets the disrespect once again. Absolutely.
Right, Bill, do you want to go through the 11 that we've gone for?
In goal, we've got Nick Pope. In defence, we have Adrian Mariappa, Aaron Cresswell. Wait a second.
Tim Cahill.
No, Gary Cahill.
Tim Cahill.
Tim Cahill.
We start this again. Who was the other geezer?
Who was the other one?
Mason Holgate.
No, it wasn't Mason Holgate.
Who did we have? Wait, it wasn't Maguire. Huh?
Roman Saiz.
Roman Saiz. Yeah, I voted.
That's how little.
That's how we've even forgotten about him.
No one even knows who he is.
Midfield was Harvey Barnes, Trossard, MacArthur, and Norwood. And then up front we got Harry Kane and Neil Maupay, all managed by Ralph Hasenhüttl.
Oh yes,
it's an interesting.
That's the top three.
Gumbo of players.
I like that team. Apart from just like, even though we've decided they're all underrated, and I've actually got two of my players in there. The defense just makes me a bit sick.
It's not a good defense, is it?
I got 6 of mine in there.
Can you imagine that defense playing with each other? Oh my!
Oh, that's funny.
Anyway, that's us. I think we ain't really got time for that. But we're going to record like just a normal podcast tomorrow. Then me and Charles need to get back on the FTC Rambles train as well. We missed a week.
Oh, scrambles, yeah.
Yeah, scrambles. We did
get Dory on for crisps.
Yeah, we'll do crisps and get Doran on. So that's our underrated 11. We'll just probably come out in a couple of days when we record it because we've got to get Jack.
Once Jack gets back.
This one doesn't really matter when it comes out, to be fair.
Yeah. That's our.
You're not watching anyway.
No, cheers. There's no one here anyway. I'm speaking to no one. That's our underrated Premier League 11. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave us a rating on iTunes, and we'll see you later.
Has anyone ever left a rating on iTunes?
They have, yeah.
Really? Oh, that's good. I don't use iTunes.
No.
See you later.
Cheers.
See you later.